And Jesse, how are you doing today, sir, with your blue blockers?
I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. I'll tell you that.
Me too, buddy. I'm excited just to see you and see all these great agents on the call. So today, Jesse, what are we talking about today? What do we got lined up here?
Well, first of all, we're talking about addressing our fear of calling people, talking to people, prospecting. I think that's a lot of people's hang up, right? It comes down to our personal beliefs and our fears. They're really false beliefs of what we think. We already play out these conversations of what it should look like and how it should end and what I should have said. And it's just all this stuff. It's noise in our head. So we don't pick up the phone. We don't talk to people because we stop ourselves.
Yeah, and whether or not we like the word prospecting or it's just another word for calling people and talking to them, whether or not we buy into that or not, the reality is in real estate, as a real estate agent, we all are going to have to talk to somebody at some point, usually normally a client, in order to conduct business. So that's number one. We're going to have, I have to get over that. I'm going to be honest. I don't love talking to people all the time. Sometimes when I'm feeling great, I love it. But a lot of times I would rather take care of my business and not have to reach out to extra people and, repeat things that I constantly say to everybody and, update people. But that's the nature of the business. And so we're going to talk about several stages of prospecting and, from my experience and Jesse's experience and the experience of so many people that I was aligned with in the coaching groups that we've been in over the years. Everybody to just about everyone has a fear of picking up the phone and calling people. There's just something about it. It's like, the number one fear for people, top two are like fear of heights and then speaking in front of people, right? So once, when you have to first make a decision, is this the route you want to go? I mean, if you're a real estate agent, you're going to have to get over the fact you are going to have to talk to people. You got to get over that right away. So at that point, when you make that decision, what goes through everybody's head is, okay, well, I have to talk to people, but I don't know what to say. And what if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to? Blah, blah. There's a million different things. Mike Ferry's son, what's his name? Matthew Ferry. He calls that the drunk monkey. That's what prevents us from making the calls. That's the crazy mindset, the crazy voice in the back of our mind telling us, I don't need to make the calls today, or I'll wait, or, I'll just text those people or email them. I'm doing my job. The reality is that we really just have to, for me, I just had to get over the call reluctancy. And Jesse, what about you as far as making phone calls? How did you start out and did you go through that at the beginning?
I definitely did. And it was because of a lack of confidence. I don't know what to say to these people. As a newer agent, I was like, I don't know how to handle their objections. Well, the good thing is when you have a lot of that printed out, I realized, man, I just started pasting it on my wall.
What did you print out and paste? What are you talking about?
So I started printing out the scripts of what to talk, what to say, what questions to ask, because the best type of sales and communication is question-based. So I just literally had a list of questions to ask people. When do you plan on moving? What's taking you there? When would you like to be there? A list of questions. Like, oh, this is easy. I'm just reading a checklist of questions and listening to their answers. And then, oh no, there's an objection. Well, guess what? Over here I have a list of objections. And what should I say to that common objection?
Right. And when I first started out, and I knew that I had to go full-time in real estate, this was back in like 2012, I knew that, I was gonna have to go back to work full-time. I knew that I had to make $100,000 or more a year to support my family because my wife at the time had quit working because of our first child being born. I looked at all the different ways that the top producers made money. Like, how did they do it? What were they doing? Blah, blah, blah. And Mike Ferry and some of those coaching programs came up a lot. The phone-based coaching programs where you prospect. And a lot of them, you know, I saw the scripts online of what you're supposed to say, and it looked ridiculous to me. I thought, there's no way I am going to use any of those scripts to call people. Moreover, those scripts are not going to work. Are you kidding me? Are they just making this stuff up? Well, at some point soon after that, you know, I went from doing it my way and you know, closing 5, 6, 7 deals a year with friends and family to, you know, quickly in 2 years up to about 75, 80 deals a year by using those scripts. And the mentality there was, I have to make more money. I see these other people making more money following this program. So I am just going to have blind faith and do what they do and see if it works. And of course, you go through the call reluctancy. Like, first of all, you don't want to make the call. Get over that. And what helped me get over that was desperation. I had to make money. So I said to myself, I'm going to make the calls. I learned all this other stuff about what to say, when to make the calls, who to call. All that stuff came later. It's making that decision that counted the most. Because what I found out from there was, it's really going to take anybody, you know, if you're an athlete, if you're an attorney, whatever field, whatever professional field you're in, it's going to take practice for you to get good at anything.
Yeah.
And we can role play, and that's part of this program. You know, we do have role play partners. If people want to do that, you can get a role play partner through our WhatsApp group. And that's one way to learn things. There's another way to learn the scripts and what to say. That's, you know, practicing it on your own. So we have all the materials for you to learn and do that. And quite honestly, you can only do so much there. I mean, you could practice a couple hours a day, and you could do all that role playing with a partner and on your own. But at the end of the day, I found that just making the calls and failing forward was the best way to do it. I still make calls on a daily basis where I say the wrong thing or I don't respond correctly, but over time you get better at the whole process and you get better at the calls, right, Jesse?
100%. And I'll just throw this out there, you guys. I wrote a list. My kids are 6 and 4 years old. I recently wrote a list of what skills do I want my kids to learn. And the number one skill that I think I want them to learn, and Warren Buffett, we even have the quote in our book. He says, if you want to become worth 50% more than you are right now, learn communication skills, verbal and written. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to practice role playing with my kids. I'm going to practice to play the question game with my kids, which we talk about the question game, which is just going back and forth, asking questions. If you master communication, and I know we all like want to improve and get better in our life and everything, but that one skill of just doing it every single day, your income will go up, your effectiveness will go up, your influence will go up by communicating better. So I agree, 100%.
Absolutely. And there are so many things that go into this. We're just going to touch on a few of them, but there's going to be stages of you as a prospector or somebody that is using this method to get business. And you're going to go through the reluctancy of even making the call. And then you're going to start making the calls and you're going to be terrible. It's going to be so uncomfortable. You're going to have people hanging up on you all the time. And, you know, you're just going to have to grow thick skin and realize that that's part of the game. That's what happens when you're doing this. That's the price you have to pay to really make some big bucks in this business. And then after a while, you're going to get a little more comfortable with this, you know, you're going to be in a routine. You're going to have the habit of making those calls every day during the week when you're supposed to be working at a certain time. So that part will become easy, and you'll realize that what you're, you know, the scripts that you're using and the responses that you get are going to be all very similar. All the response is only going to be so many objections that you hear, and depending on who you're calling, we have a list of objections that you can use. And if you're calling for sale by owners, you're going to get, you know, 3 or 4 different objections, the same one every time. So what we were taught was just learn 2 or 3 responses for each one of those 5 objections for the people that you're calling. All right. And if you learn those and how to respond to those, it's going to make what to say and the comfortability level that much higher for you. So you go through that stage of, of call reluctance, of then being very bad and uncomfortable on the phone, to eventually learning how to eventually get to the point where you actually start listening to what the people are saying. And that's when you things really start to take off for you. When you listen to what the other person says, when you make them feel important. So if you just take one thing out of this call, it's read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and always make everyone feel like they're the most important person in the world. If you did that for 30 days and you made 10 calls a day, I guarantee whatever you're doing now, you're going to double it as far as your production. Don't you agree?
100%.
And it's a reminder every day for me to really listen, because I feel like we're real estate agents. As real estate agents, we want to talk. We know the business. We want to tell them what they should do and what the market's like. None of that really matters to them. If they ask you a specific question, then it does. But it's very important. What I've learned is the more that I listen, and how do I listen? What am I listening for? Well, by asking those questions on the script, I get a response, and it's purposeful. I'm asking them a question. Well, if the home had sold, where were you going to move to next? And so that answer to that question is not going to be yes or no, number one. It's going to be a sentence-based or logical response, such as, well, we were going to move to Florida. So I automatically know what's important to them. They were selling their house because they wanted to move to Florida. Okay, that's the goal. All right. And then you start asking, well, what about Florida is really important for you? Well, my dad's on his deathbed. I need to take care of him down in Florida. I got to get there soon. Oh my God, I'm really sorry to hear that. So why do we listen? And then what do we do first? If you listen to what somebody says, you don't automatically look at the sheet and just respond. All right. What do we do, Jesse? I need to get to Florida because my father is basically, unable to take care of himself. I got to get down there and help him. This could be the last, 6 months of his life.
Oh my goodness, Steve, you got to get down there to Florida and help your dad. This is, wow. I can imagine why that's so important to you.
Yeah, it really is, Jesse.
Validating it, right? Validate
Yeah.
and repeat what they said back.
You want to listen to what they say. You want to repeat what they say, and then you want to affirm it. We do not want to disagree with them ever. And let me just give you a quick example, guys. I was calling for sale by owners last Friday, I think it was, and I got on a call with a for sale by owner, and I said, "Hi, this is Steve with eXp Realty. I noticed that you have a house for sale on 123 Main Street there in St. Charles. And I wanted to give you a call because we work with a lot of buyers and sellers." And she said, wait. What company are you with? I said, eXp Realty. Oh my God, you guys are insane. Like, she just berated me, okay, because I was with eXp. I go, yeah, is there did you have a bad relationship with an agent, or a bad outcome with a sale of a property, or what? So what happened, I found out, was an agent who was prospecting in this area called her and basically made her feel like crap. I mean, they came across in a very negative way and told her, hey, you're never going to sell your house to for sale by owner. Why don't you just, get an agent because you're stupid. Just all these negative things that they were throwing at her. And they made her wrong, and they made her feel bad about herself. They made her feel bad about eXp Realty, which, that hurts everybody at eXp that's trying to be a follow-up call. And it was the totally opposite wrong thing to say. All right. So I talked to her for, 10 minutes, and I told her, I said, I could not be more discouraged that you had that experience with this agent. That's not how anyone at EXP is taught to, talk to other people and blah, all this other stuff. And she felt really good about the conversation at the end of the day. Is she going to hire me to sell her house? That's beside the point. But I can tell you how many deals that I've gotten over the years where I was the only one that listened to what they had to say, because they may have a lot to say if they're expressive, or because I didn't disagree with them. What happens a lot of times, people will have their opinion about what's wrong with their house or what's great about their house. And as real estate agents, we know very well that if you have a new roof in the last 5 years, that's not going to give you another $20,000 in value over the neighbor's house that has, a roof that's 6 years old or whatever. That's okay. But if you listen to what their concerns are and you agree with them that, yeah, that's great, you have a new roof, man, that's what people are looking for. Everybody's going to want a new roof for sure. And then go to the next question, right, Jesse?
Yeah, and what I hear you saying is too, is you want to like get on their team. Like you want to say, hey, we're in this together. And there's actually an idea called the 5 sentences of persuasion. One of them is throw rocks at the enemy. Like, get on their side. Like, yeah, bad agents suck. Yeah, we don't want, I tell me about it. I work with agents that are bad, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Or the market, like throw rocks at the market, whatever. Just get on their side. Like, we're partners in this together, not clash with them. So that's what you just said.
Yeah, you want to if they get upset and they're really like, extremely irate about something, you want to get irate with them. Oh, geez, I can't believe that agent was saying that. That's absolutely ridiculous and uncalled for. I'm going to make sure that I address that. What was that agent's name? That was the kind of thing that I was doing. And, you don't want to purposely throw somebody under the bus or purposely go that direction, but you want to go with the flow of the conversation based on what they're saying and how they're reacting. So that's the level that eventually you get to. And if you want to expedite the whole thing, just, take our coaching, read our book, and go through the steps, because we've tried to, cut out all the fat and all the BS and get to the point. So, it's important that you realize you're not going to be perfect at it right away. It's a learning process. And the best way I found to learn is to just do it and learn on the job, basically. And that's been the most helpful to me. And you can expand on that as you go forward, but if you need to make money, that's the best way to do it, is just jump right in. And I talked to Pete, and I had been texting back and forth for accountability. And he was surprised that I was checking in at like 8:15 in the morning, and he thought it was too early. Pete, I agree with you. That was my mindset for many years, that who in the hell is going to want to get a call at 8 a.m. If I get a call at 8 a.m. in the morning and I'm not, it's not a work related call, I'm going to be pissed. But I know this. Here's what I know as a consistent prospector. If I get on the phone any later than 8:30, there's a very strong possibility that I've missed out on maybe 1 or 2 contacts that I could have been the first person to call that would set an appointment and would ultimately allow me to cash a check for $10,000. That's the difference. That 30-minute window for me is the difference between $10,000 a month, probably.
And can I share $100,000 idea with you guys?
No.
A mindset shift about that is we are looking for one particular kind of people, the person, and that is motivated people. A motivated person will be excited to talk to you. They will be grateful to talk to you. They're looking for hope. They're looking for an answer. They're looking for a great agent. And so the unmotivated people, they're going to get mad. They're going to hang up on you. They're going to say, piss off, another real estate agent. You guys are all blah, 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 blah. But the motivated people, they're going to be like, oh, great. I would like to ask some questions. I want to engage with you. I want to know, why did my listing not sell? What's going on with the market right now? A motivated person will want to talk to you, and that's who you're looking for. So big mind shift right there is just like,
here's a couple of real world reasons why that makes sense, why it makes sense for me to start at 8 o'clock. Number one, I'm typically one of the first 1, 2, or 3 people to talk to them. And what does that do? That increases the possibility that they will answer the phone by about 75%. I've tested it. I mean, that's just how it is. Number two, if they've already talked to 2 or 3 or 4 people, they may not answer the phone either. So that's another, the odds are so much greater in your favor. And Pete, I'm not telling you you're wrong at all here, because I know you're calling past clients and sphere of influence, which I agree. I would wait till 9 o'clock to call them. I don't want to be annoying and call them, as they're shaving or doing whatever else you do in the morning. Okay. So that's fine. But as a prospector that prospects for expired, canceled, and for sale by owners, I do want to be the first one that calls them in the morning.
And you're a human, right, Steve?
Yes, I am definitely human. Yeah.
So a lot of times stuff gets in the way. Our calendar gets full, emails get full, we get text messages. And if you get your calls done like before 11 o'clock, it's done. Now you can deal with all the fires that you got to put out, and oh my goodness, this person's upset, and that loan officer did that, and the title company's asking for this. You can do all that. We talked about this last week, I think. Maker in the morning, manager in the afternoon. Make it happen in the morning. So
yeah, and that's a great point that I'm glad you brought that up, Jesse. If I start at 8 o'clock, I'm done by 10 for my 20 contacts every time. If I start at 8:30, I could be done at maybe 12 o'clock. It's that big of a difference. When you start out that early, you're going to get 4 or 5 contacts like that. And that's when I usually set an appointment. So it's important to do this consistently at the same time every day. And like you said, Jesse, we're human. I'm divorced. I have 2 kids, and I take my kids on Wednesday mornings to meet their mother at 8 o'clock. So I'm not back to my office until about 8:20. So like today, I was not able to start until 8:20, 8:30 by the time I get on the phone. That being said, sometimes when that happens, I'm still able to get my contacts in and done by 10, 10:30, 11. Today was not one of those days. So am I going to beat myself up about that? No. If by chance you have a day like that, you're not able to get your contacts in the morning, which I suggest doing, that's the best time. Then the next best time to call them is, for me, I seem to get a hold of people right around lunchtime, but the next best, absolute best time is around 4:30 in the afternoon when they're on their way home from work. So from 4:30 to 5:30, I can get a hold of as many people as I can from 8 to 9. But I don't want to wait every day and call at 4:30 to 5:30, because then I've missed those fresh new leads that come out. So if you wanted to make the perfect schedule and you're able to do this based on your lifestyle and kids or whatever, I would make calls from right at 8 a.m. till about 9:30, and then I would go from 4:30 to about 6 o'clock, and you'd be able to make 30 contacts and make 500,000 GCI every year doing that. There's no question. So, it's a learning process, but you just have to do it consistently, and you have to take the action. Right, Jesse?
100%. When I was 18 years old, I did door-to-door sales, 12 hours a day grind. Every single day I had one goal. I need to talk to 100 people. That means knock on their door and get a response. And I'd pick out like 150 homes. I'd start in the morning, like 10 o'clock, and I wasn't done till 8 p.m. that night. But that first grind was just getting through, getting those people, the ones that are like, no, we don't buy that, we don't need that, or whatever. I was just getting them out of the way. And so that finally I could just start reeling in all the ones, that last 2 hours of the day. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting those. So that's the same thing with any prospecting routine. You have to get through those people that you just got to get out of the way, and there's going to be those motivated ones that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And you can make a game out of it. I mean, reward yourself. If you're setting a goal for yourself that you want to make $300,000 a year, which, I have a goal right around there for sales, then I have to make 20 contacts a day. I know for sure 100%. If I talk to 20 people a day, 5 days a week for 240 days out of the year, I've done this for, 7, 8 years. Every single time the numbers all never lie. I will make over 300K a year. So I make a game out of it. Man, if I've got 1 or 2 contacts left and it is, for whatever reason, I got sidetracked and it's like 7:30 at night, my cutoff time is 9 p.m. by the way. I have called people that late before and I've set appointments. So make it a game. And if you got 2 contacts left, just, be silly about it and just call somebody. Go, man, I'm really sorry to call you, during the Price is Right or whatever it is. I'm sorry to call you, during the Game of Thrones, but I just wanted to see if you're still interested in selling your house. They're like, man, I've had, 25 calls. You're the first one that's called me after 8 o'clock. And, you can tell them I'm probably the only agent, that works 24/7. I do apologize. I know it's late. Just have some fun with it and reward yourself. If you have a goal of 20 contacts a day for 18 days out of the month, like I do, and you actually hit that goal at the end of the month, maybe your reward is that, you treat yourself to a spa day or, whatever it is that you really like doing. You go to, your favorite restaurant or something, have a reward at the end of that goal, segment that goal into like a 30-day period or a week long or something like that and reward yourself.
We already went over how many people you got, how long last week, right? An hour or 2 a day.
Yeah. And the more disciplined and the more locked into and focused on just time blocking that hour or 2 hours a day, the stronger I am with my schedule and not allowing anyone to distract me. I guarantee you, every day from 8 to 10, I could let myself be distracted 7 to 10 times. But I do not do that. I know there's emails coming in. I know there's text messages. I turn my phone upside down. I use my cell phone now. I turn it upside down so I can't see the text messages. And I do it in 30-minute or hour segments. I do it in hour segments. I make sure that I don't put the phone down from that first call. I do not put the phone down until I have 10 contacts or it's been 1 hour. And 95% of the time, one of those 2 things happens within an hour. Of course. Well, 100% of the time it's an hour. But usually I get the 10 contacts in that first hour. And the great thing is if I start at 8 o'clock, which some days I start at 8:20, if I start at 8 o'clock, I could have those 10, I've had those 10 contacts done in the first 20 minutes before. I mean, it happens. And then some days it takes 2 hours to get 10 contacts. I don't know what it is, but it always averages out to 10 calls or contacts per hour. So just block 2 hours a day and you'll have $300,000 at the end of the year. Wouldn't that be nice?
Boom. What kind of questions should we be taking?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
Who feels stuck? Who feels like, what's the one thing you're missing about talking to people? How can we help answer that?
Hey, Steve, Jesse, when you say contacts, you mean people, you mean conversations. It's not just phone calls, it's conversations, right?
Real estate related.
Yeah. So what I do, Pete, is, you can stretch this a million different ways, but what I do is I have to have had a conversation with somebody first of all, they have to understand me. If they speak another language, that's not a contact. Like if they don't, okay, that's not an count. Mm-hmm. If it's a kid that can't buy or sell a house, that's not a contact. All right. So it has to be somebody has the ability to buy or sell a property. And I have to ask them when they plan on moving or who do they know that's thinking about buying or selling. I have to ask them that question. Are some of those hangups? Yes. And sometimes when somebody just hangs up and I'm not really sure if it was anybody related to the property I'm calling about, and I really don't know if they heard me, I'm honest with myself and I don't count that. So it has to be somebody that you have a verbal conversation with. It doesn't matter how great that goes, but as long as it's somebody that's able to buy or sell a house and you ask them those questions, it's a contact.
Okay.
Now, if it's somebody that that knows you, Sphere Influence Database, past client, if you text them and they don't text you back, that's still a contact. If you leave a voicemail and they don't call you back, that's a contact, okay? So those do count.
All right.
as long as you know you got the right number.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, the reason why is if you don't, your numbers will be off, and you'll be like, "I'm talking to 10 people an hour, and I'm
And
not
you
getting."
get frustrated because, yeah, just make sure it's somebody you talk to. It's some people say, oh, I talk to people in other industries that are in sales, like this one guy I know. He's in insurance. He's like, man, my goal every week is 80 contacts. I go, wow, 80 contacts. That's great. And I said, are those people you're actually talking to? He goes, no, those are how many times I dial the phone. I'm like, okay. So he might have talked to 2 people. That's not a measurable thing.
Right.
I want something that's measurable and repeatable so I can decide what I have to do and determine what I have to do to make X number of dollars. Makes life a lot easier that way.
Good question, though. So many people are like,
Great question.
I don't know what a contact is. That's a great question.
Anybody else?
Anybody not know who to call? We talked about when to call. We have scripts on what to say.
Yeah, we have all the scripts in the website. What's the website address, Jesse?
StreamAgentsVIP.com.
Very good, very good. All of it's in there, and
If you're missing something, ask. We'll find it or make it.
absolutely. All right, guys, if there's no more questions,